Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Weir.
Here.
Casanello.
Here.
Hayter. Here. Larson.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Ramirez. Here. Morris.
Here.
Okay, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next on the list is the invocation. We do not have a pastor, priest, religious representation, but I think this is a good time that we take a moment of silence for the Ukrainian people and the conflict and war that's going on now. So if we could take a moment in silence. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Hit my funny bone.
Next on the list, we have recognition of achievement. We had one of our town members get a nice prestigious award, the Coach Wooden Citizenship Cup, Josh King. His mom and dad are here with us, Lawrence and Sheridan. I'd like to present them with a certificate of achievement.
Tell us a little more about it.
This is a leadership achievement for Josh. He was on the Merchant Marine Academy's football team, and this is associated with athletics, right? Leadership in athletics and outside of athletics as well. So, yeah, any comments you would like to make, Sheridan?
Yeah, so he was nominated by his school, and there are 2 high school national athletes, 2 collegiate athletes. The female athlete is from University of Arizona. It's a basketball player, female basketball player, and then the professional athletes are Jackie Joyner Kersey, and I think it's going to be Warwick Dunn, either Warwick Dunn or Russell Wilson. And it's for his leadership at school, his involvement in a lot of the cultural diversity activities at school, and trying to promote all of the, advancement for people of color there, and then also his involvement in, he's a victim's advocate too for sexual harassment at sea, so kind of all those things combined.
So, yeah, I'd like to present this. If we could have the council come on down, we'll meet over there.
Sheridan's on spring break, or
Next week?
next week?
Can you come back?
Oh, no, he hasn't, I don't know, he probably won't be home until, we don't know when.
You wake up after spring break.
Probably until June of the.
Oh, you personally responsible for me having to take another picture.
Do you want to be up for it?
No.
You wore a button up today, so that's nice.
I'm gonna hide behind Lawrence.
No, you didn't.
I told you we were gonna FaceTime, but I think we got final tonight, so. Thank you. Right on Long Island, right outside of, like in Great Neck, so basically.
One guy.
Yes. Almost 4 more months and he's all done. Yes. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brent. He just got his direct commission engineer slot for Coast Guard, so he'll direct commission as an officer. Cool. Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Every time I sit in this chair,
That squeak.
it makes that noise. I'm like,
Okay, next on the list, we got a recognition of service for Officer Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Or,
Can I do it here? Okay, you don't care. 1 week off and she come back like this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sergeant John Gregory, could you step forward for me, please? Mr. Mayor and Council and staff, most of you know this familiar face. Sergeant Gregory, when he was here, Officer Gregory served diligently with our Haymarket Police Department, and especially during our transition and tough years. He served just over 4 years with us, 2 of which he served part-time and 2 he served full-time. In the reverse order, he served full-time first and then part-time. He has sought employment with Warren County and got promoted to sergeant, became a K-9 handler, SWAT team, shut down all operations in Warren County. So that's why their crime rate has fallen compared to Prince William. Mr. Mayor, on behalf of the chief and the sarge and the rest of the department, I just want to take this opportunity to thank him for his years of service to the town. While he was here with the town, he was one of our principal firearms instructor, basic tactics, self-defense instructor, taser instructor, and he's still doing all of those where he's taken his skills. But primarily, Sergeant Gregory was responsible for training and retraining our officers that were here on staff. And I just want to publicly thank you for your service and for your dedication to the department and to the town. So, thank you.
I would have stayed down there.
Okay, how's that?
Back to your same spot.
The only one I can call a sergeant that responds. He doesn't respond to me. Chief, can you hand over the camera?
Oh, sure.
One photo without.
I'm good back here behind him.
Bob, stand up. Oh, you're standing up.
Okay, you want to get on my shoulders?
Okay, we're good.
That's an army joke, I'm sorry.
Now go to work.
still let some pictures get by here. I guess we can move on.
Yeah. No worries. Not like we have a huge agenda tonight.
He has his dog in the car.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he's got the K-9 in the car?
Yeah.
You don't want to bring those in.
No, this is a safe space. Afraid of dogs.
Are you keeping one?
We got citizens thing?
Citizens
Yeah,
time.
consent. Oh, yeah, you're right. Citizens time, then consent agenda. Okay. Thought we had that reversed, but okay.
Good. Oh, we're short a copy. You can have mine. Yeah, this is fine. Yep.
Okay, are we all set? Okay, citizens' time.
First of all, I'd like to say I think you guys are doing a really good job, which I haven't said that for years because previous.
What was that you just said?
Doing a really good job, but the previous times, not so much. I ventured up here this evening, walking, to ask for a couple of things or consider a couple of things. One is on the handout to have a sidewalk from the new Hilton south on Fayette on that side of the street to connect to the sidewalk that's there at the last house that's newer. It's very dangerous, as I've said in my email, and I think actually it would provide some walking stuff for those kids in that nursery school. But it is dangerous. You have to cross the street to get over to the other sidewalk, because there's no sidewalk on that side, and it's a blind curve. It's very dangerous. Second thing is, with Haymarket Coffee leaving, I would like the town to make an overture to the library to have a library book drop on the museum property. There's a picture of two of them in front of the oil changing place, and whether you know it or not, I use the library frequently, but the only book drop that's up there at the library is actually in the facade, so people that have children in the car or something have to actually drag the kids out of the car, walk them up there. You can't leave them in the car, it's too far. And I think, you know, if they can have one in the Gainesville Shopping Center area there, why can't we have one? The other is to consider moving this blue mailbox over to the museum as well. There is a cluster mailbox there that does have a drop, unless you have a whole lot of mail to dump. It's not visible there, and the way the traffic pattern is with the hash marks, by the time you get to drop off the mail, if you're in a car, and nobody knows that mailbox is there, by the way, you have to go all the way around the building here to exit there, because there's an arrow on the roadway and the parking slots are this way, and so you can't go back. And there's rarely a parking place to park and actually walk, plus people are in and out and it's dangerous. Okay. The third thing, if you flip over, is that I noticed that there are many, 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 many cars without a town decal. I looked and thought, well, maybe we don't have to have them anymore. Well, that's not the case, and actually, if you don't have one, it's a $35 fine. I bring that up for two reasons. One, this was in my mail when they send that out. Do you still have this car? Not your bill, but do you still have this car from Prince William County? So how many of these cars here are still registered, say, in Winchester? And whether you know it or not, the personal property tax for the outlying areas is far less than here. So people could be playing that game. But I was also concerned when I looked at the Haymarket or the hotel website, whether they've just cut and pasted or not, I don't know. They're going to charge $10 for parking on the lot. Now, it's on their website, but that may be they copied it from another one. That I don't know. But if that's the case, then we could have cars parking up and down the street that are avoiding the $10 or maybe using other lots. Be sure nice to know who's parking in the street, whether they're town people or not. Point being, according to the website, you're supposed to have the decal on the car. Now, I remember years ago you used to have the metal plate, and you used to have to get one every year. You don't have to anymore. It's a one-shot. What they're doing, I don't know, but it should be in the town newsletter. Get your act together, people. the car people.
Oh, and us. Whoa. And us. I get it.
Well, like.
No, those are great points.
I see all of those cars parked at Mayor Stutz's old house and vans and whatever. Nothing, there's nothing on them. Nothing on the townhouses over here, across from the hotel. Nothing down the street from the mayor's house where they have like so many cars, I think they're bleeding them.
Does the mayor's house have?
There's no stickers on those cars.
My
I
neighbor.
don't know. Maybe they
Stickers on
don't
all
belong.
5 of mine.
Anyway, I
All
appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is so refreshing, man. So many good points. Can you come back next month?
Well, I'll tell you, if the sidewalk was complete, I might.
Wow. Withdraw that invitation, please.
Mr. Mayor, if I could,
Yes,
Roberto, refresh my memory. We have that sidewalk segment in the CIP or not? Can you make a note to add that to the budget discussion? That's it. Here, you can have this copy.
okay.
I know where to get it.
Love her.
Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have anybody who would like, well, I guess we'll go over minute approvals first, since we do need to vote on those. The work session minutes,
It's all part of the
It's all
consent.
part of the.
is it all part of it?
Yeah.
It can all go under the same thing? Okay, so with the consent agenda, is there anything that, any reports that anybody wants to pull out?
I was hoping we could pull the police department report, please.
Okay.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
I was going to ask for one comment on the town administration report and the town attorney report.
Okay. And Bob?
He got me. In that case, Mr. Mayor, I would move items 7A, 1 and 2, B, 2, 4, and 5, C, 1 through 5.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion, second. Last chance for discussion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. So we'll move on to department reports, town administrative report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, if I may. This is for the acting town manager. If you could just speak a little bit about what I saw in here. Where is it? Give me 1 second. About the Corals property?
Yes, so the Quarles property is the corner of Route 55 and 15 on the north side, so that is the CVS Bank and Chick-fil-A property. More recently, the Meladon Group has acquired this property. They went through with a purchase towards the end of last year. More recently, I had a meeting with Don Wooden and Igor Levine to discuss the property and what they wish to do on the property. Of course, they are going to maintain the 3 structures that currently exist, being the Chick-fil-A, the bank, and the CVS building. There is a stormwater retention area in the back there, and they are looking at previous site plans where there are 2 additional buildings, and they're exploring different options for the final build-out of that site plan.
Okay.
So right now, it was just a kind of preliminary discussion. It was all in the kind of pre-site planning phase. There are no official site plans submitted just yet. We have not gone through a pre-application meeting just yet. I am helping them pull some of the older files that we have here to share with them. And so I'm sure many discussions will come up in the near future as we work through different options that they have there.
Okay, and that property is zoned B1?
It's zone B2.
B2.
Yes.
You know, I was under the mistaken notion that the fairgrounds property kind of enveloped it. I didn't realize there was enough space for 2 more structures back there.
It will be tight.
Okay.
There is some space left for sure. They might have to look at how they size their buildings. I know that on the original plans that Chick-fil-A had, they had to extend and expand beyond that for their drive-through lanes that they put in, and then the orientation of their building. So there is a little bit of that footprint for that second building in the back that may be modified from the original plan.
Okay.
So, whoa, whoa, whoa.
As
Did they do a site plan? Did Corals do a site plan amendment when they did this Chick-fil-A? Marshall, do you remember?
That
That
was-
addresses that
Sorry, say
building?
again?
Did they do a site plan amendment for the reorientation that would have affected the other?
They did. They had
Okay,
to maintain the overall parking counts. Originally, the Corals was going to look at putting a fuel point behind the CVS
Yeah.
in the corner,
I remember that.
and that's why you see a large amount of asphalt back there, like a turnaround, so.
So the one that we would have to work from is the amended site plan with the
Chick-fil-A,
Chick-fil-A
correct.
reorientation.
So there's an SUP plat that they were subject to, and then there was a site plan amendment
Okay.
where they had to retabulate all the
Okay.
parking screening, all that other stuff. So-
And since this kind of ties in with this discussion so that council's aware, it became apparent that there was a Chick-fil-A as-built was not finalized and complete, and so that is something we are working with Chick-fil-A on as a little cleanup item, so you will see that pop back up. I know that's a little dated, but that's something we'll be working on soon.
Is there any thought to incorporating the 2 properties, or is it just going to be 2 separate properties that they own?
I was under the impression in our conversation and meeting that there was thought to incorporating the 2, having the interconnected parcels. You'll have one up front on Washington Street that is between the Lidl and the Chick-fil-A, and you'll have the one in the back there as well. So I was led to believe that it is going to be a joint connected. They might not go in and, consolidate everything boundary line wise, but they are going to put in the effort to make them look cohesive.
As I recall, there was an interparcel connector on the back side of that part. And there's an existing interparcel connector,
Yes.
at least approved, if not actually constructed.
Yes, so that's what they'll connect all the way into between the 2.
Well, that's all I have, but I appreciate that, and I'll follow up with you another time.
And
Thank you, Mr.
as we have more updates and more meetings or discussions, you'll see that updated through the weeklies there.
On the amended site plan, Marchant, did they cut down the building size from back there to fit it?
As Emily mentioned, yeah, the pad site that was left behind the Chick-fil-A and the bank was almost cut in half. I think at one point it was 15,000 square feet, and they had to reduce it down.
Yeah, I mean, my history on it, we did approve the building structure, but, this change in the building size, of course, is a planning commission, and I didn't see that.
Mr. Mayor, can I just have a follow-up question, please? So, when did this purchase take place?
I believe that the purchase took place in between the holiday timeframe. We saw it hit the newspapers sometime, I believe, in late December before the new year.
Just wondering why the Don from the group didn't share that with us when he was going through an SUP. In my opinion, just my opinion, I thought that would be beneficial to him if he had brought that forward.
I'm not sure the direct entity that purchased it, but, that's up to their discretion if they want to share the information. But I do know I met with Don and Igor, so I'm under the impression that one of their entities owns it.
Yep, and I do see an advantage because that collection pond behind Chick-fil-A, I'm sure they could possibly incorporate that into their existing.
It's a great advantage.
So that gives them a nice chunk of land there to develop, added land to develop, if they integrate the surface water collection system. Marshawn?
Well, could you update us on the phasing of the fairground site? So now it's, are they going after the townhouses first? Are they going after illegal second? Do we have any idea of sort of the order of operation?
As I've been in discussions with the developer, they have stated that they are trying to attack this all at once and do as best they can a single phasing development, if you will. We are going to have a couple more weeks of blasting. From there, they're moving into, they're wrapping up some administrative things right now to get into the building department, at which time they're going to be pulling building permits for buildings 6 and 7. That's their 2 multi-tenant buildings that set back behind the drive-through and behind, let's see, Taco Bell drive-through sets back there, and then behind the Popeyes drive-through it sets back there. And then they'll also be going Pulte, or if, you know, there's a new home developer, then the home developer will be going through building department at the same time. Right now, Lidl, there's individualized site plan that they're doing a phase section of it. We have not heard back yet from their engineers regarding our engineering comments that we had, so we're still awaiting that update, and then we're finalizing with the Taco Bell, awaiting on their engineer as well.
Okay, thank you.
So they're trying to do it all at once.
Just a lot of people are asking whether,
Yeah.
well, they're excited for Taco Bell, but people are asking, so thanks for the information, I appreciate it.
Any more questions for that report, even though that kind of led into
Thank you.
the planning coordination, but, okay. So move on to, I guess, the police department report. Mary?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to say I deeply appreciate your breakdown of everything. I'm trying to find it here in the packet. I had it on my phone. I do want to call your attention to and possibly ask for clarification on the LOLE grant. Could you explain what that acronym is for and what the grant entails, please?
It's a local law enforcement grant that has to do with the amount of violent crime that you see in your neighborhood. And it can be used for anything police organize, but not to supplant funds. It has to be either new equipment, it can be overtime, it can be prosecution, it can be anything in those statistics. So we did forward the grant. Mr. Morris in Finance was well aware of it, and we did fill out the application for the grant. The grant was approved about the 28th of last month.
Awesome.
So those funds are ready to spend.
Well, thank you for looking for that additional resource for our town, and I appreciate you clarifying.
No worries. There is going to be a second one coming, just in full disclosure, because they are 3 years behind due to litigation that they had issues. This is a Trump-era funding, grant funding. So there will be another one coming in about the same amount within the next month or two that we would have to spend by the end of the year. This one that we currently got, we'll have to spend by the end of June. And then there will be a third one coming, but they have not released the date that that money will become available.
Okay, awesome.
So we're in line for all that, and I will keep Mr. Morris, council, and the finance committee appraised of the situation with that.
Awesome. I appreciate you finding that additional resource for us.
Yes,
I also read that you intend to participate with St. Baldrick's, and I love that.
I was going to volunteer Chris, myself, and Bob, but this wouldn't qualify.
Yeah.
But Bob volunteered a little early, didn't he?
For what? What am I volunteering
St.
for?
Baldrick's. St. Baldrick's?
They
Oh,
give you-
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a location for that event yet, or?
I do. It is at a local brewery, but I am not sure which one.
Okay.
I'll have to look it up.
Cool.
That's on the 26th of this month.
Oh, it's a fun.
Farm? That sounds right. Okay, Farm Bureau.
Awesome. I want to go and support you, so I'm excited about that.
Can you bring a ball cap?
You don't want like a sombrero or a cowboy hat instead?
That would probably work better for me. A nice Stetson would be all right. I'll take that.
And then lastly, the blood drive on May 3rd. Do you have a location for that? Will that be at the hospital or the?
It is going to be at the hospital, yes, ma'am. We are planning two. We are going to partner with the local Baptist church as well.
Okay.
This will be the first one, and I'm trying to get a little competition between us and the firefighters to see who can
that's
give the
nice.
most blood. and get a big turnout there for them. So,
Yeah, awesome.
yeah, looking forward to it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for setting all these up. I think that's like a key to community policing. So, thank you, and I look forward to
We
supporting you
got
in our
plenty of
department.
events. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to meet with Emily and Aaron, and we have between 23 and 25 events that we've planned this year. Some are more involved and some are less involved, but for this whole year, so that's averaging about 2 a month. So,
Awesome.
we try to keep going out there.
Thank you. That's all I had. Thanks, Mayor.
Bob?
Chief, I'm sure this is a typo, but I just want to make sure. I just want to
Well,
make
I
sure
don't have
because
a
there are some interested parties.
I don't have a secretary to blame, so I'll take the blame for it.
I'm assuming that when you say you're preparing the 2022-23 BUD proposals, this has nothing to do with cannabis?
It has nothing to do with cannabis.
There we go. Just wanted to make sure we weren't stepping on someone's distribution toes.
Chief, I thought we talked about that.
You know, it's just, I think that it was the autocorrect that got me.
Cool.
Yeah, I lost track of mine. Sorry, Michelle, I'll let you go first.
Chief, I brought this up last month about the Yelp status. Any?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, on that.
I've met with both Emily, Aaron, and Olivia. Forget her last name right now. Henderson, who is really good at that sort of thing. The recommendations that came back is for us to create our own official Yelp page.
Okay.
This one, I guess, was not created by the PD. And I did look back through that to see what that rating was about. And it stems from an incident that happened a few years ago where a lot of citizens from across the nation weighed in on one topic. It's not a current trend of
Topic
the
that may
police.
or may not mentioned tonight. So.
Yes, so that's kind of the reason for the rating.
Okay.
So I'm going to be working on getting that squared away, getting an official Yelp page, and then we can correct that that you gave us the assignment to do.
Obviously, public safety is a priority over that. I appreciate you addressing it, but it doesn't need to be at the top of your list. It was just.
It didn't go by the wayside. We did have that meeting, and thankfully we got good resources here that we can reach out to.
Thank you.
And
I think
figure that out.
it is important as we become higher visibility in the community that we get that. So thank you.
Roger that, sir.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm making a note of the St. Baldrick event, because that's a wonderful event. Do you know what time that starts?
I do not.
I don't. It's not close enough on my calendar that I'm narrowing down on that. Yeah, I just know I got the 26th marked off for that.
Between now and then.
I'll forward it to you. I have it.
Okay, great.
I'm just hoping it's warmer than the Potomac. We're good with that.
How cold was that?
It was pretty cold.
And that's what I wanted. That was actually my question. How cold was that water for the polar
Very,
bear?
very cold. My goal was to make it to the divers. And so once I got there, I'm like, I'm good. But it was pretty silty out there. I was afraid I was going to quicksand, so I had to huck it back. A good time was had by all.
All right.
Okay. Any more questions? That's it for the police department. Thank you, Chief. Town attorney report?
Martin, during our budget discussions, and I'm assuming this is something we can talk about in open session. If not, I can add it to the list for closed. But have we gotten a definitive statement from DMV with respect to our grant eligibility status?
I don't have any further update for you at this time on that. So the answer is no, we haven't gotten it.
Can we pursue that, or is it worth even
Certainly we can look into it.
just kind
Yeah,
of poke them?
that's an easy outreach to, I'm assuming, the AG, right, Virginia?
I'd just like to know where we stand so that we can budget appropriately, because that is a considerable
Yeah.
amount of money.
If there's no objection on the dais, we'll direct that.
Please do.
Please do.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, I guess that closes up our consent agenda items. So let's go to Section 8, Transient Occupancy Tax Ordinance Update and Adoption.
Mr. Mayor, if we could Would it be okay to hit the highlights of what's changing?
Martin?
Martin? What's changing is that the statute changed in September, and so we're updating this to accommodate a number of changes revolving around the definition of a intermediary who is like Airbnb or Vrbo, who accepts money for the transient occupancy and then remits the payments to you. And so the process that's laid out in the statute is mirrored here so that we are following the state law. So there's some definitions that are added and some provisions dealing with the accommodations intermediaries, and the rest of it is pretty much what you see, what you saw before.
Is there any direction when it comes to if somebody wants to put their house on Airbnb or Vrbo, if there's any type of business license required, or?
We have not required a business license to my knowledge. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
I mean, what are the typical things we should be looking for something like that?
Well, you're able to require a registry if that's something that council desires. We can set that up so that people can't do it without being on the registry, and then you have a little bit of control. If they have violations of the registry requirements, then you can bar them from renting their house. But there's it's not it's not like a business that you're running out of your house that would require a business license.
Aren't they, this gets back to my earlier issue and why this has taken so long. They just killed all the bills changing the TOT tax structure this session. They did it, I think, late last week. But aren't there several bills addressing B&Bs and TOT?
There always are.
I personally don't know the status of them. I haven't tracked those.
I was tracking a couple. As you say, some of them got killed, and I wasn't particularly concerned about any of the other bills. There's lots to be concerned about in this General Assembly, but that wasn't one of them.
I'm trying to see if I can find them, but I don't remember. Let's see if I can exclude fail.
Madam Vice Mayor, did you have a question for me?
I was just going to make point that some of those guidelines are in HOA restrictions as well.
Right. Always check with your HOA. It may say that you can't do something that would otherwise be allowed. Good advice.
I don't see any bills that survived, so.
Yeah, I just want, I guess, a legal understanding on whether we should be concerned and have to try and implement some type of policy into our town or not for something like this. Is there any concerns?
Yeah, there are a number of concerns. I mean, one of the problems with Airbnb and its competitors is that it can change the character of the neighborhood. Particularly if you're in a destination area, it can really change what it was a residential neighborhood into being basically party town, and that is disturbing to the people who are full-time residents. So you see a variety of different approaches around the state. Blacksburg has a provision where you can only rent if you are within a certain number of miles, if the owner is either in the house during the rental or within a certain distance of Blacksburg. So basically they're saying, fine, rent your house out on game weekend, but you're just going to get a hotel in Salem and not go all the way to the Outer Banks or something, so that you're nearby if there's some emergency that happens to the house. Other places haven't gone into that much detail. Middleburg is continuing to tinker with its provision. It has a very restrictive special use permit requirement. So they're looking at tinkering with that right now. Other places that have hotels don't have nearly the same kinds of issues, but it is, and there's not a lot of research out there about what's the tipping point. If you get to 25% party houses in the, I shouldn't say party houses, but, 25% houses that are basically being used all the time for rental, does that change the residential character? Or is it 40%? We really don't have any good research on that, so I think we're groping in the dark a little bit, but the problem is if, once the problem has occurred, once you get a certain level of folks that are using their houses entirely for Airbnb, there's no going back. You're not going to be able to undo that. The other thing, of course, it does, and I should mention in this context, is that it decreases the availability of housing for workforce and ordinary folks. It is one of the major drivers in the housing shortage that we are all experiencing.
So if we don't have a registry, there can't be an Airbnb?
No, we would have to have, if you adopt a registry requirement, you can require that people register, but if you don't have a registry requirement, they can just go ahead and do it as long as they're collecting and paying the tax.
So they have to have a business license?
No, there's no business license requirement. There's just the transient occupancy tax is collected now by Airbnb, by the intermediaries.
Marchand?
So I just Googled Airbnb Haymarket, 18 stays. Most are basement apartments. I don't see anything in the town proper. Well, no, I do see. Yeah, $179 a night, Haymarket. So it's around.
It's everywhere.
So anybody have questions or concerns? Something we'll deal if we see a problem come up then, right? Okay. I think we'll be reactionary on this issue.
Well, the other thing you could do would be to ask the Planning Commission to study the issue, because that's really a Planning Commission kind of thing.
Thanks. Not that I recall.
Not unless you put it in zoning as well, right? Residential could have some type of statement in it.
Well, and so, for example, you
But
might want to
we
limit
put
it.
it in the zoning ordinance, I thought.
You can certainly put something in the zoning ordinance. So, for example, you can say that one residential zone doesn't allow it at all, and another residential zone does. In mixed-use zoning districts, you can say it's okay, but not in others. You could do it by district. You can have a special use permit requirement like Middleburg does. There are a number of things you can do in zoning besides the tax issue.
I'll go back and check the zoning ordinance at some point.
I do have a question, because I remember we talked about this a number of years ago. Is there a limitation on the number of days or nights per year? Did we not adopt something relative to that?
You couldn't prove it by me. I'm sorry. I'd have to go look that up. It would be very difficult to enforce, because getting accurate records is going to be difficult.
Hence, having some kind of system in place that helps us track and monitor better.
Right, and if you have requirements that people not rent out more than a certain number of days per year, then you got to have a way of tracking that and verifying it.
Right.
So there's an administrative burden associated with that.
Exactly. Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we kind of segued out of what we're, this topic is. I guess we got a top tax update. Anybody want to make a motion, or?
Before we go there, I have a question. Martin, has the ordinance been published, and is there a requirement?
There's no requirement for the ordinance to be published since it's not a zoning ordinance.
Okay.
And the county would have to publish it because they are under a different statute in terms of all of their ordinances have to be advertised, but it does not apply to towns.
Mr. Mayor, in that case, I would move the adoption of the ordinance to amend Article 6 of Chapter 42 of the Town Code relating to transient occupancy taxes, effective immediately.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and second. Last chance for discussion. Okay, we'll put it up for vote. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye?
Yes.
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 Okay. Next item, BZA appointment recommendations.
We're going to need to table this until the next meeting. We sent out the information requesting the applications, and we have not heard back. And we are still awaiting correspondence from the third member, as we discussed at our work session.
Okay. And that's, I feel, is appropriate. I feel we should have paperwork in hand when we recommend and pass off to the people who do. So I guess I need a motion for tabling. Is that right? Or no?
Do we have a motion?
Your Honor, you could just do that by unanimous consent if there's no objection.
Okay, no objection?
Consent.
Okay. Okay, now we're on to council member time. Go around the dais according to the agenda. Bob?
Only thing I would make note of is that I forwarded everybody an article this morning. The county has received MVTA funding for 2 sidewalk projects in the county, one of which is one that we've been pressing for quite some time, connecting Heathcote essentially to the end of the pavement that we paid for in front of Robinson's Paradise, just so that everybody will understand that the project is now funded, according to county transportation, is going to be go into engineering and design phase rather shortly. Of course, we got no credit for it, but so what else is new? That's all I got.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, that was great news. Thank you, Bob, for sharing that. Had a chance to do a tour of the hotel yesterday with Councilmember Ramirez. It was actually really informative. It's shaping up. I'll let Mary speak to it during her time if she'd like to. And I would suggest everybody reach out to Ryan and get a tour, see what it looks like. I think they were talking about the 18th as their day for opening.
Restaurant.
Or is it the restaurant? I thought it was
Restaurants, the 18th.
Yeah, hotel's the 21st.
Turning on their systems, so
Right.
it sounds like everything is hopefully 18th from what our
Everything goes
conversation
along.
was.
Right, so that was somewhat interesting, and I appreciate that offer. And I guess that night, when we did the tour, that was yesterday, there was a fundraising event for the Sweet Julia Grace Foundation, an excellent organization. I found out that former council member Tobias is a member of that organization, and they do great things for kids that are sick and as well as disabled, and I didn't realize that. They're based out of Bristow, and another location, and I think in West Virginia. So shout out to those folks. Wonderful thing to see. And just the last thing, a PSA, essentially, June 21st will be the last day to file to run for the November 8th election.
What?
June 21st, 7 p.m. If anybody is interested in running out there in TV land,
Nope. Is that normal so early?
it's early. It's a lot sooner, and it follows the pattern for the other elections throughout the state, whether they're federal or statewide.
So no more surprises.
No more surprises. So actually, it's the last day. I believe it's the primary day, right, Bud? The 21st?
Day
Yes,
after, I
it's
think.
primary day. So just so everybody knows, we might want to advertise that and let people know about it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
All right, so I'm very excited that we are doing our first business event for 2022. It will be at the hotel on Tuesday, March 29th at 9 a.m. We're going to have Clarice Grove with Prince William County Economic Development. She's going to talk about the Restore Retail Grant Program. Obviously, the hotel will be there to speak as well, but she'll guide us in the guidelines and assistance with that. And then I did have a statement that I wanted to read onto record during my time. On Tuesday, February 15th, my team lead and I were having lunch at the Firebirds in Gainesville discussing our business and productivity when one of our town applicants and business owners, Connor Leak, came in At the end of our lunch, we requested our bill, 2 salads, 2 beverages, and we're told by our server that our bill had already been taken care of, and we did not have a bill. Upon further questions, I discovered that it was Connor Leak that took care of our tab. I want to be completely transparent in that I did not know our bill had been taken care of, nor did I have any conversation with Mr. Leak upon his arrival or during our meal. I have written Mr. Leak a check covering our estimated lunch costs and will forward to him. Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, move on to Marchand.
Great, just another PSA with the weather getting warm, we're seeing a lot more people out on the streets and the sidewalks. So just keeping a lookout for our friends and neighbors as we come out of the, our, what do you call it, our hibernation. So it's good to see parks getting a lot of use. I did mean to ask earlier, Emily, if we know when the shade's gonna go back up? Never mind, moving on. So,
Can I plug one quick thing?
Yeah.
I finally got through quality control at the building department, so I'll be hopefully getting an inspection soon, and then I have to get it inspected again when the shade goes up, so
awesome. Thank you.
I'll update.
Thank you. And then, I think for the most, wanted to offer to you that we had that work session last weekend. I thought it was very productive. I look forward to sort of the summation of that so we can share it with the community. And thank you to the police department for continuing to do what they do. I saw Officer Coppedge yesterday. He wasn't aware that I had moved. He was anxious to know where I was so that he could take care of me, and I appreciated that. So, also was not invited to a community bonfire in my old neighborhood, so that was, don't let the door hit you on the rear end on the way out.
You've been officially excommunicated.
What's the problem with that?
I'm now south side, I'm no longer north side, so, anyway,
Welcome to the right side of the tracks.
oh my gosh. We're not going down that. So, anyway, my comments for tonight, thank you.
Ah, that's true.
Awesome. Mary?
Yes, I wanted to say thank you to Joe for inviting me yesterday to join him on the tour. It was my very first time being in the hotel property space at all, so it was really cool to see this, vision coming to life, and I'm really excited for everyone to get a tour and hear Ryan's vision and how it's coming to be. It was really rewarding, and we got to meet Bill Murray and his wife and Clarice there, and I think we're going to make great partners, and I'm excited to set up a time where we can all celebrate their milestone, and that will be fun. Let's see. I wanted to call out Carried to Full Term, posted something on their Facebook requesting a need for grocery store and Uber and Lyft gift cards. They ask this for their mothers who are trying to, regain their their footing, and this could be a way that we can, as a community, assist them in that. They ask for those to be dropped off during their office hours, Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 2:30. And on their website, they have their Facebook posts, they have a phone number to contact as well. I did want to let you guys know that on Wednesday, I'm going to be joining the Green Hill Crossing HOA's meeting, just to kind of check in and see how everybody's doing. And if anybody would like to join me, I know that we have some people who live there. So just for a FOIA thing, maybe just vocalize if you plan to attend, so that way, because I'll be touching base. And I'll be happy to share next month what, if any, concerns our citizens have. And that's all I have.
Awesome, thank you. Councilman Morris?
Sir, thank you. Maybe an encouragement to Councilwoman Ramirez. Maybe we could invite Carried to Full Term here next council meeting for them to share on their vision and what they're planning on doing. It's always through emails or communication, so maybe we could reach out to them.
I like that idea.
Tag your Mr. Mayor, through communication with the chief officers, Chan and Burgoon received letters of commendation for the work that they did in an incident early this year, late last year. So just want to, on behalf of the council, express our gratitude to your group of officers. You're leading a fine team, and they're doing a good job here in the town. I also want to thank Supervisor Pete Canlon for pushing the Old Carolina project. It's the largest amount. Stop looking at me that way, Bob. But it's the largest of all the projects that got approved, and we got the larger portion of it. So I do want to recognize this. This is a few years in the making, and the history behind it is that we almost got it a few years ago. It was pulled off because of politics, and now we've finally gotten it to a place where we can join Heathcote and the bridge. I'm not 100% sure what side of the bridge. Is it the east? Is it?
I think it starts on one side.
I think it's on the east.
It did not make sense the way the article was written,
Okay.
because it said it was going to be on the east side, but it was going to connect in front of Walter Robinson. So I guess there's got to be a crossover at some place. I just don't know where. I know there was an issue on the west side with respect to one of the road frontage parcels not having
Right, enough.
an
Right.
easement.
I'm hoping, Chief, keep your eyes open. I'm hoping that you're part of that conversation to lend some expertise.
I'll touch base with Rick
So-
Canizales, who's going to be doing the design and the engineering on it, and we'll get a
Because
we'll get an
that's
update on
that's a
what the-
pretty busy stretch there, Chief, as you know.
what the design
Yeah.
is. If
It's
I
actually
had to, if
safer-
I had
so-
to guess, they'll run it on the east side and then do a crossover right around Jordan Lane.
Yeah, it's actually safer you're crossing while you're inside the town, crossing over before you go that way, because once you touch that side of Carolina, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mr. Mayor, just wanted to shout out Pete Canlon for pushing this. Thank you, sir.
Okay. And that leaves me. Emily, I apologize for making you scramble about my mayor's walk. It's actually this weekend, second weekend, not the first weekend. I was mixed up. But yeah, I have the mayor's walk on Saturday at 9 o'clock. I plan on taking care of that. I would like to shout out to the police department as well. I've been talking to some of the town residents and businesses, and I've been getting kudos for all of the officers, Finley, Chan, Joe Coppage.
Careful when you start naming names, sir. You got
I know, let me go down the list real quick. Albertson, Culver. What else is there? The part-timers I don't know too well. Gregory.
Never fought for that.
They won't know what you're saying.
But
Just
I have been getting feedback from them, and they are, the residents are very happy with the police force at this point. And that's all I have. Next item, as needed.
Mr. Mayor, I move council convene in closed session to discuss the following. As permitted by Virginia Code Section 2.2, 3711A1, a personnel matter involving assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employers of the town, specifically dealing with town administrative staff and consultants under contract, as well as permitted by Virginia Code 2.2, 3711A3, a matter involving the acquisition of real property for public purposes, specifically involving 14600 Washington Street, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the town's bargaining position.
So moved.
How about second?
Oh, second, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go into closed session.
Do we need to keep
Isn't that, wait a minute, isn't this for personnel liaison? No.
Watch it.
It's money.
Okay, time to bring us back into open session. I guess start with the attestation first.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council certify that in the closed
Hold on,
session
hold
just
on.
concluded,
Okay.
nothing was discussed except the matter or matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed in a closed session under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as cited in that motion.
Second.
Have motion second. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Okay, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the proposed salary increases for administrative staff retroactive to their service anniversary dates.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Might as well make this a vote. All in favor?
No. Expenditure requires a roll call.
Finances, yeah. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Do it. Gotta be quicker than that, Tracy.
I know, I was like,